morning, everyone. You're with Tina Nixon, and we have in the studio Paul Eagle. So for those of you in the Wellington region, you'll remember Paul. He was a Labour MP for Rongotai.
That's correct.
And then he stood for the mayoralty, and now he is the chief executive of the Chatham Islands District Council. Is that correct?
Well, it's just called the Chatham Islands Council. I think it was trendy in effect because it was one of the only councils that didn't take the word city or district or regional. And I don't know how that happened, but they got away with it probably back in 1989. And so it's just set as the Chatham Islands Council.
Awesome. And how many people are on the council?
I've got 8 councillors and a mayor, and I've met them all. And they're good. It's a good group. Because we know that not all councils are united and functioning, but this council, I believe, is. And I know them all individually over the last 6 years because the seat of Rongotai, for those that don't know, included the Chatham Islands. So a lot of people say to me, how the hell did you get the Chatham Islands? You've got this urban metro seat of Wellington East South.
Yeah.
And in 1996, when MMP came in, because this is the only reason I can find out, is they decided to transfer it from, it might have been Littleton or Port Hills to Rongotai. And I guess I'll tell you this, they are still loyal Canterbury Crusaders fans.
Yeah.
They haven't migrated to the Hurricanes, so sorry.
Yeah, because I think I went to the Chathams in 2000 it would have been.
Yeah.
Only the once. And we left from Wellington in the DC, whatever it was.
Oh, yeah, it might have been the Convair, the aluminium.
That's it, yeah.
Yes.
Where everyone just rushes onto the plane and finds a seat.
Yeah, they still do rush on. There is no seating allocation, much to the horror of those who think they're going to get a flash seat.
And then halfway across to the Chathams, your time changes.
Yes. So 45 minutes ahead, and whenever I take visitors, that's something I always tell them. I said, look, it is 45 minutes ahead of the mainland, and they still go, oh my God, we're in another world almost. I said, you really are.
Yeah, and the other thing I always remember, that was back, 23 years ago, they still had the Good Night Kiwi at the end of the TV in the evening.
They do. Well, at the top of where the port is, the Waitangi port, if you look up top, there's a lookout. But if you drive around, there's the old Chatham Island TV station there. In fact, the building's gone now too. But the satellite dishes are there, these big, those big old-fashioned white dish satellite dishes. So it's the only remains of the Chatham Islands TV.
Yeah, and it was quite a cool experience. I was working for the fishing industry at the time. We're doing what they called a commodity levies round, which meant that you have to convince everyone to part over with a whole heap of money every year to fund your organisation for the good of everyone.
Did it work?
Yeah. It did.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't have too much of a problem, and I think we all got all of 10 people turn up on the Chathams, but we had to show that we had consulted with small communities, so it was it's a legislative thing. But anyway, back to you, not me.
Yeah.
So you've taken, how long have you been in the role?
So I start officially on Monday.
Oh,
so
wicked.
The 30th of October. So you're the very first interview, and it's good. And when our mutual colleague suggested that I talk to you, I said yes, because I'm really proud to have gotten the role. It took some time. I mean, those who know local government know everything takes a long time. And the recruitment process did take some time. I mean, a couple of people said, oh, you got that because you were the MP. And I said, well, actually not. In fact, when I first told the mayor, Monique Kroon, and the previous mayor, Alfred Priest, that I was intending to, I thought I'd better alert them. Both of them had stunned silence. So I thought, is that a good or bad thing? But I knew that I couldn't curry favour and I'd have to step up because the process is quite strict for employing local government CEOs. In some ways, brutal in other ways to running for parliament, for being elected because I have this thing called the psychometric test.
Yes.
And I've done it for so long, I thought, now this is the real test to see how brainy I am, or maybe not.
I think it just tries to work out whether you're a sociopath or not.
I think you're quite right. Like, is this guy going to be one of them?
I think I score probably pretty badly because I don't truck fools and I suffer fools very much. But, I'm surprised I'm still doing the psychometric testing because I think in some places they're considered to be a bit sort of like last century.
Well, I thought so too. I thought, that was probably the most nerve-wracking part. Plus also to see the councillors and the mayor in a different light, like they have only ever known me as their member.
Yep.
And so to represent myself saying, hey, I've done just as many years in local government as an official, as an officer, a council officer, for 3 of New Zealand's largest councils. I think most people didn't know. They were like, oh, so one of my jobs is to really concentrate on the core boring stuff.
Right.
But sometimes I wish Wellington City would do too. Because my road's a bloody disgrace.
This would be the worst performing Wellington City Council I have seen in 23 years.
Well, I'm going to add my support to that because...
Well, you're a lefty and I'm a righty. What does that say?
Well, part of my dear old mayoralty bid where I couldn't convince woke Wellingtonians to vote for me is quite simply is to get back to the basics and to get unity. I mean, I could work with the right, I could work with the left of the left, but I couldn't get that message out. And I certainly won't point fingers at your media outlet. You guys were great, but others seemed determined to go on side issues like how much, if I had billboards up too early and all this fluff stuff.
Yeah. You were under attack. And someone was being promoted. It became patently clear to someone like me in the Wairarapa who had a longer lens.
Yeah, well, thank you, because I have lots and lots of people who secretly say, I wish I'd voted, but all they were hearing is he was a bit of a rogue, stealing your opponent's billboards and putting your ones up. Yeah. It's unfair. It's not a level playing field. But actually unity and having experience does count. I mean, I look at the situation, I look at it for the last 3 years as well. I mean, that's why I ran, because I thought, what skills do you need? And it will be the same on the Chathams too, because those on the Chathams, they know that right now we could do better in some areas around relationships, and that is with the Enterprise Trust.
Yep.